the diminished chord. One of the most versatile chords I know. This mysterious chord by itself can sound a bit harsh. Dissonant is the appropriate word. But used in the right place, it's a thing of beauty. A diminished triad, that means 3 notes, by the way, is created by stacking minor third intervals on top of each other. So for an example, an A chord, A, C minor third, and an E flat, that would be a diminished triad. Now, in real life cases, most of the time, we end up adding a 4th note, which makes it a diminished 7th chord. This is the more common form. So we'd have A, C, E flat, and G. This chord has kind of a cool symmetry. All the notes are equal intervals apart, and because of this, you can take any note and make that the root of the chord. So in this case, I've got the root right here, but I can also call this the root, or this the root, and it can be 4 different diminished chords. At the same time, I can move the chord up. 1, 2, 3. Every 3 steps, it becomes basically the same chord. There are 3 ways we can play the diminished chord. With the root on the 6th string, we'll play it like this. On the 4th string, and on the 5th string. So here I put my 2nd finger on the 5th fret, my 3rd finger is over here on the 3rd string, 5th fret, and then I'm borrowing really just these 3 notes. For the 2nd form, the root's right here on the 4th string. It's one of the easier forms to play. 1st finger, skip a string, 2nd finger, in between there on the 8th fret, 3rd finger, and pinky on the high string. And then finally, the one on the 5th string root. I got my 2nd finger on the 5th string, 1st finger, skip a string, that's the 3rd string, and then the 3rd and pinky over here on the 12th, 13th fret. Okay, so now we got the chord forms, but what the heck can we do with this dissonant sounding chord? How can we use this chord to make more interesting chord progressions? One of the best uses for the diminished chord is as a connecting chord between 2 other chords. It creates this kind of tension and release, so it naturally wants to resolve to another chord, and it makes music sound more exciting. So here's a common chord progression. That's a 1 chord, 2 chord, the 5 chord in the key, and then the 6 chord. Now listen to it with a diminished chord added between a couple of the chord changes. We've got the D, I'll put a diminished chord here, to the E minor, and then I'll go on to the A sharp diminished, and B minor, with a little groove to it. So what we did here is I took the D chord and I'm going to the E minor 7. I wanted something in between. So I've got the D up 1 bass note, D sharp diminished. Tense, right? Wants to resolve. And that releases the tension. Then I went on to the A chord, 5 chord. And again, I'm going to the B minor, right? The note in between, A sharp. So A sharp diminished, and then to B minor. Sweet sounding chord, tension, and there we have a satisfactory release. The diminished chord can also make a really good pivot chord. It's good for if you want to change keys. That's because the tension that the chord creates can actually resolve in several different ways. Here's one way to think about it. Take any note in the diminished chord, go up 1/2 step, and it will resolve nicely to that new chord, either major or minor. So for an example, I have here, we'll call this A diminished. The root note A can go up 1/2 step to B flat. That's a nice resolution. So let's take another note. Here we have E flat, and I can go up 1/2 step to E. So E flat to E. Another not satisfactory resolution. Let's do it again. That's a F sharp note, and we want to go up half step to G. Sounds good too. Let's do it again. Kind of fun, huh? This last note is a C note, and we want to go up C to C sharp. The diminished chord is often used in blues in place of the one chord. Listen. And I like to use the diminished chord to kind of get around the guitar neck. So for an example, let's say I'm starting down here in the guitar neck, but I want to end up with a chord here. So listen, I'll take the diminished chord. I'm actually playing the same chord, right? Every 3 notes, the same chord. And now it doesn't sound like I made a big jump from here to here with that diminished chord. This kind of sounds like a dramatic scene in a black and white movie. Next, we should probably talk about half diminished chords. By the way, you can download these examples that I played on my RGS website. I'll put a link down in the description. Thanks for being a part of my community. I look forward to seeing you again soon.